Chairman, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years ago, at the dawn of a new millennium, we reaffirmed our commitment to consolidate efforts in the spirit of collective responsibility, to free our world from hunger, to uphold human dignity, and to ensure sustainable coexistence with Mother Nature. We set for ourselves the goal of advancing progress in 8 key areas by the year 2015. Today, with just 5 years left, we have mixed results amidst multiple interrelated and worsening global crises that confronted our world in the past few years. Some countries have suffered setbacks in achieving these goals, while others have scored remarkable success. Mr. President, yet time is still on our side to renew the political will and look for a way forward to reach the set targets by harnessing our synergies. It is in this context that this high-level forum under the auspices of the United Nations assumes special significance. Although each individual country has the sacred responsibility to ensure the welfare of its people in an increasingly interconnected and globalized world, we cannot survive in isolation. Hence, achieving the Millennium Development Goals becomes ever more important in the collective interest. The recent global economic and financial crisis had severely reduced the access to external resources and private capital flows for developing countries. In such circumstances, there should be genuine commitment to fulfill donor obligations. Unfortunately, the trend for more restrictions and protectionist measures in trade, debt relief, and access to technology is posing a challenge to development. Hence, we need to act with a sense of urgency and partnership. At the same time, it is important for development assistance for external sources to continue to encourage for the sake of sustainability. Our national policy has been developed within the framework of global priorities which we consider appropriate at this time. In the South Asian context, some of our urgent preoccupations, including food security, energy security, and global warming, building up buffer stocks of essential food items, ensuring price stabilization, and the continuity of supply, calls for more systematic approach to international cooperation. We are convinced that economic development to be sustainable must include emphasis on protection of the environment. Green technology in industrial production is therefore one of the central needs of our time. The improvement of infrastructure in our villages, an opportunity for social advancement, is necessary to discourage mass movement of populations from rural areas into our towns. Gender equality and the breaking down social barriers are features of a peaceful society. Equity with regard to the distribution of wealth and access to the essential services, we believe, are hallmarks of long-term stability. Mr. President, in Sri Lanka, social development goals such as free healthcare, access to education were embedded from independence in the country's overall policy framework. In addition, through my own vision, spelled out in the Mahinda Chintana, a vision for future, we embarked upon 10-year pro-poor and pro-development oriented framework to further consolidate and accelerate socio-economic progress. Equally importantly, it is our deep conviction that the well springs of our civilization, nurtured by Buddhist tradition, should guide our approach to economic and social policy making. At the core of this, there must be a sound scale of values. Nowhere is the better expressed than in the Mahapariනිbbāna Sutra, the final sermon preached by Gautama the Buddha. Here he declares that the moral worth of any society can be asserted by a clear yardstick. This consists of the quality of treatment meted to women and children. In building a caring and compassionate society over the centuries, we have never lost sight of this ideal. Sri Lanka has incorporated MDG key performance indicators in our national budget policy. As a result, Sri Lanka has already attained or is on track to attain the MDGs despite formidable odds, including the almost 30 years of a violent terrorist movement and the December 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami that brought massive devastation to my country. Mr. President, in terms of universal primary enrollment and completion, we had recorded a level of almost 100% by year 2007. Gender parity in primary education had reached 99%, and in secondary and tertiary enrollment in the ratio of girls to boys exceeds 100%. Now the challenge is to further enhance the quality of our education, to empower and prepare young people for productive employment. We have also undertaken vigorous measures to enhance computer literacy through a national-wide project called Nanasala, Center of Wisdom, covering mostly the rural areas. In the health sector, our endeavor is to ensure every expectant mother a safe and attended childbirth, increase the current rate of 98% of such births immediately to 100%. The infant and under 5 mortality rates decreased from a rate of 32 per thousand birth in 1990 to 11.3 per thousand in 2009. While our focus has been on counting tropical epidemics such as malaria and other vector-borne diseases, we now need to pay adequate attention to form of non-communicable diseases, a serious challenge to our health sectors. We would therefore urge access to medicine at a reasonable cost and more predictable financial and technical assistance to develop local capacities to improve conditions for patients Mr. President, while we strive to achieve reasonable standards in living, we must not forget the need to avoid treading heavily on natural environment. The current spate of natural disasters around the world and frequent flood situations in countries are a stark reminder of the effects of environmental degradation. We must, with a sense of urgency, reach consensus on curtailing global warming based on the principles of common but differentiated responsibility and the Bali Action Plan. Mr. President, every crisis, while posing a threat, brings an opportunity as well. Let us therefore resolve to use the opportunity afforded by our high-level meeting to forge the strongest possible global platform to achieve the goals so necessary for our common good. I thank you and everyone, sir.